And my mom was very convinced that the world was going to end in 2000. And so my mom was like, if I'm going to die, let me die at home. So she traveled back to Nigeria, just, preparing for the end times.
This is a Niger Conversation, and I have with me Nnenna.
Yes.
That was a lame intro, right?
I mean, I think it's fine. Very succinct, to the point.
Oh, okay. That's good. I appreciate that. You need to be close to the mic, just so, or you can put it, closer to you, just so I make sure we get that voice. Because you all don't know, Nnenna is one of the people that bless us on Sundays in church.
Wow.
With her voice.
I'm flattered.
I have to make sure, it is my duty today.
I'll just tell you now, I will not be singing.
Oh, no, I'm not asking you to sing.
Okay, perfect.
Anymore.
Okay.
But I just have to make sure that voice translates beautifully to my audience and everybody will be blessed. I'm pretty sure of that. So, thank you for making out time to be here today. I expect this to be a very interesting conversation. You're officially with the new setup, you're the first lady I'm having on here. Woo. So, first black woman to be on Niger Conversation.
Love it.
So, tell us about yourself. Who is Nnenna?
Oh, that's such a broad question.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've had so many interviews lately that I've had to answer that so many times. But
I want to do something fun. Give us the interview response to that. And then give us the pod response to that.
No. Okay, so
yeah.
It's almost embarrassing to say it now, but I always start with, I'm your typical fourth culture kid. I was born in Nigeria, raised in the Gambia, Senegal, and Ethiopia. And then I came to Iowa, found myself at a small PWI, Christian, which I know you're familiar with Platteville.
Yeah.
But it was actually one of the best things that happened to me. And then I go with the whole yada yada. I majored in chemistry, and then I had this mentor who was a surgeon, and then I wanted to do medicine. I did research for the Medical College of Wisconsin my junior year, and then I was like, I kind of like it here. So I applied for medical school, and I found myself here, blah, blah, blah.
Fast forward.
Yeah.
Today. Oh.
And I talk about surgery a bunch, but I'm not going to bore you guys with that part.
I'm sure, maybe some people picked up on it when she said she was raised in and then mentioned 4 countries.
Kind of. So, really?
No, because that's one of the things we're going to go into today.
Nigeria,
Yeah. But
my parents weren't living in Nigeria at the time, so people usually won't let me have Nigeria as one of the countries I was raised in.
Why?
Yeah, because I spent a total of 5 months there, probably my whole life.
Doesn't matter.
Most of it I couldn't even see. I was a baby, so yeah. But my parents are Nigerian, and I was born there. I'm the only one of my 5 siblings.
Your name is Nnenna. Nobody can question you.
Period.
Yeah, nobody. It's not possible.
But they still do. They still try, believe it or not.
Yeah, people be trying stuff. So now on the pod though, Nnenna, what's popping?
I mean, it's the same version. Take out all the medical stuff, and my dad's a medical doctor, and he had opened up a clinic in the Gambia at that time. So my parents were living in the Gambia before I was born. My older sister was born in the Gambia as well. Wow. But then, funny story, the Y2K thing.
Yeah.
So I was born in 1999, and my mom was very convinced that the world was going to end in 2000.
A little bit aware.
Yeah. So my dad I think he was out of the country for some reason at that time. And so my mom was like, if I'm going to die, let me die at home. So she traveled back to Nigeria, just, preparing for the end times. And that's really the only reason I was born in Nigeria. Like, all of my other siblings were born elsewhere.
That's a real story.
Yeah. Yeah. So because of Y2K, I got the privilege of being born in Nigeria.
Damn.
And then 2000 passed. She realized that nothing was happening. And she was
I wonder what the conversation with your dad would have been about that. Because I'm like, what do you mean the world is?
I'm sure it's something that he's used to. My mom is a person that is usually more into like conspiracies and stuff like that. My dad's the very logical
Give
person.
me a contact. I need to reach out to her. That'll be a fire conversation.
That would be an interesting one for sure.
Like, tell me all the conspiracies
Especially with COVID. That was a very tough time for us all. She still thinks that I have like 3 vaccines floating in my bloodstream, and I may not have kids in the future, and all of this stuff. So,
wow.
Yeah.
By the way, she's in our friend group. She's our young doctor. Just got matched recently.
Thank you.
It's not easy. It's no beans. Like, very proud of you.
For real.
Proud of your accomplishments. There's a thing of where, the statistics of there's so many Nigerians in the US that are like medical doctors or in the medical sciences and all. So I'm privileged to actually know one of one of the people breaking those records and just making way. Young woman succeeding, and you can, just give me the hospital information.
So you come there.
You know how it is now.
I mean, I always tell my friends, like, people always say, now that I know a doctor set, but I'm gonna be a specialist. So I really hope that none of you ever need me.
Oh,
because I'm not gonna be primary care. I'm gonna do general surgery.
Oh,
yeah. So hopefully none of you ever have to need me. I'm actually even thinking about trauma surgery. So I even will pray I never see.
Because I'm just thinking, if I have a headache,
you're not coming to me.
Wow.
No.
So you're thinking of trauma surgery. Yeah. Why?
Well, right now, honestly, it's an exposure bias. When I was during medical school, the most experience I got, the most that they let me do was when I was on my trauma rotation. And so it's kind of like being an adrenaline junkie, to be honest. So much is happening. You're not sleeping. You're hallucinating at the end of your 28-hour shift, but it's really cool stuff. And your blood is pumping the whole time and you're just really alert because things are happening. Everyone's moving, it's very fast paced. And I just like that. But I say that now as someone who is young and doesn't really have responsibilities outside of taking care of myself.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when I ask people who are trauma surgeons, would you do it again? They say no, which was very interesting to me when I was interviewing.
Did you ever follow up with why?
Yeah, and it's the same things. It's hard to have a family on that kind of schedule. And then just getting older, you don't have the strength to be running to the trauma bay and operating through the middle of the night. But I have 5 years to figure out what kind of surgeon I'll be, so I'm gonna just keep an open mind.
Yeah, and well, as with everything in life, you figure it as you go.
Yeah,
it's funny that growing up, that crazy question, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's one of the scam that they give everybody. What do you want to be when you grow up? That's going to be just one thing that you will be when you grow up. It's no, even grown-ups are figuring this thing out as they go.
True.
It's either they get into a career, do it for a while, make a switch that is somehow related to what they've been doing, or complete 360 the other direction, and then they retire, or if they do it that long and don't bounce around different fields, they retire and then start doing some other thing. And it's you never really figure it out, but you just keep going with it.
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, I definitely bounced around a lot. I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to
Why did everybody
wait, to be a lawyer?
Because T.I. also said the same thing, astronaut. He actually even went to study aerospace engineering.
No.
I wanted to be an astronaut, but mine was just for movies. He never really left the movies. Couch.
I never actually.
But astronaut is a common thing that's everyone wants to be an astronaut.
I think around that time, I think we're close enough in age, but that around that time, that was the majority of the movies that were, a lot of
space age and space race and all that stuff.
Yeah, but mine was very fleeting. I think the longest one that was not medicine, I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. Okay, that is medicine actually. I was about to be wait, that sounds like you find characters on shows you relate to and you just pick them. So mine was Abby from NCIS. I just wanted to be Abby. And then I realized she works with dead bodies all day and doesn't really see, there's not much patient interaction in pathology.
Yeah, just dead.
And to some people, that's ideal. They don't really want to talk to live patients. But for me, I was I want them to be alive at some point.
That's one suspicious things about, no offense. The medical, is just there's this rumor that some people that go into the military, they have the sin for death and killing. But it's
You think medicine is the same?
No, I would say there has to be a percentage of people that are in the medical field that are just like blood, gory, pain.
I mean, there might be.
There has to be.
I think if someone likes it, that's a problem. But a higher tolerance for it is rather what I'd say. I think to some extent, there are some things that aren't normal about people in medicine. Like it only occurs to me when I talk to people who are not in medicine.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time I did an amputation for a guy, and it was so exciting to me. Like I was so.
Oh, you actually did that?
Mm-hmm, they let me use the bone saw. And I was so excited. I went back. I told this dude I was talking to. I told my sister. I told everybody. And they were just like, they were grossed out. They were disgusted. They're like, why are you telling us these details? And I'm like, look, it's so cool. And I wanted to just share so much.
Yeah.
But not everyone thought it was cool. And they're like, why are you excited about cutting off some guy's leg? I'm like, no, you're seeing it the wrong way. We're cutting off his leg to save his life, but it's like, but why is the cutting off of his leg?
Yeah, why is that exciting to you?
And it's just because I like to do stuff with my hands, and you kind of have to forget for a little bit that it's a person.
Interesting.
Just for a little bit, because if you're thinking about a live person, who feels pain the whole time, you're not thinking about the work you're doing.
Yeah.
At least for me. So when their face is covered, once they're draped, I kind of forget for a while that it's a person, and instead it's like a group of organs.
It's work that needs to be done. There's a goal here. There's task, and that's interesting though. That has to be very, because I can't even imagine it. It's like, because I know that's a person. I know this. I just spoke to this person a few minutes or hours ago.
Right.
And then now I'm just.
I mean, in a way, you're aware it's a person. Well, at least the more experienced doctors are aware it's a person. Because I know when I was like a second year in med school, in the OR, I used to sometimes rest my my hand on the patient and put pressure. And the doctors would always like, stop that. Like that's, they're going to have a pressure sore or something. Oh. So like they are thinking of it as a person. I think I'm just starting out. So it's like, I'm focused so much on the thing I'm doing. I can't.
Because it's exciting to you.
Right.
You're learning.
It's still new.
You're learning. You're like, oh, what can I do?
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. And medical students, honestly, we don't always do a lot until you're like a senior medical student. Usually we just retract forever. So I was excited because they actually let me do something,
Shout out Medical College of Wisconsin.
Yeah, Medical College of Wisconsin is honestly a pretty good program. Like, we're all going to complain. You're not going to meet a medical student who will not complain, because we love to complain and we have a lot to complain about.
Yeah.
But when I compare it to some of my other friends from college at different places, it's a pretty good program.
That's good. And I think Wisconsin, has a good amount of their education. Like engineering in Platteville, very nice, very practical. Well, some other campuses on the UW system, not so much.
But like shading people.
No, for real. Because I know when I did an internship, then we're talking about the same classes we're taking. For them was just all theory and just classes, and then the population too. There could be like 200 people in the hall, but in contrast to Platteville, you have like 50 students or 40 students, or sometimes even like 10 students in the class. And it's practicals, lab. You want to die.
Yeah.
But it was having the conversation with them, like, we built capacitors in our classes. We built physical things. But College of Wisconsin. Yeah, let more Nigerians come here so I can talk to y'all.
That's true, because this is our second MCW student.
Yeah.
They should hire you for a PR.
Yeah, right. Maybe I'll reach out to them. You never know. I'll reach out. I haven't reached out yet, but we'll see. So, how then did you? So I know you briefly touched on it that you were in Iowa, and then you moved to Wisconsin. When was that? How did you settle in Wisconsin? How has it been so far? Where are you headed to?
A lot of questions. So I first came to Wisconsin when I was a junior in college. So I majored in chemistry, and I was in this research lab where we were basically, I'm not going to go into details because it's boring, but we were working on an enzyme, and then we were sending the enzyme here to MCW, and they were doing the actual experiments. So for one summer, I wanted to come here and then see that side of the project. So I came and did like a summer program of undergraduate research is what it was called. and I did that for the summer. So I was already here before, and I came during Summerfest. So it was like everything was so exciting, and I was like, wow, this place is lovely. It wasn't the winter, so it was kind of a scam.
Yeah.
But
set up.
Yeah, definitely. But it was like a fun vibe, and I liked the campus, and I liked the people that I met there.
Yeah.
So I applied, and I applied and got in pretty early in the med school cycle. Like I interviewed at MCW's first date, and I got in 2 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
So I was like fairly sure for most of my journey that I was going to come here. But I was still interviewing because, of course, no one just, puts their eggs in one basket. So, yeah, then I moved in 2019. And that first year, actually, I didn't really know or meet anyone. Like, I started meeting all of you guys, I think, the end of 2020, I think.
Yeah, I've heard. Because I came here in 2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
When you said 19, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Because I thought you moved here more recently.
No, I came in 2019, but for a year, I was just kind of like, I was with my med school friends. I was getting used to the whole studying all day, every day thing. And just getting used to the new city. But I wasn't really doing much, honestly. It was school, home, and that was
So at what point did you start going out?
Isn't that the story?
Yeah. So at what point did you get... Because there was a point where you started,
yes,
being more social and...
Yes. And it's one of those things where when you realize you have such a little time, you want to completely fill all the free time you have.
True.
And it wasn't all me, honestly. It was one of my seniors that made it... Like, he kind of showed me what was possible for a medical student to still have fun. And I was like, oh, interesting. So it was because we became friends that I became more social.
That's good.
But in terms of like meeting the other Nigerians here, I think that also made a big difference because I met, I think it was Oyinlola at someone's party, a birthday party. And she was like, oh, there's like, I told her how I was going to a Ghanaian church, and I was like, I don't know any Nigerians in the area. And she's like, there's so many of them. They're everywhere. And so she told me to go to her church, but I didn't go until several months later because I met her in 2019. So I didn't go until like a year later.
Yeah.
And then I went, and suddenly there were Nigerians everywhere, and the ones I met from the church will introduce me to other Nigerians. Yeah. And I was like, wow, there are actually a lot of them here. And that also helped with definitely going out.
There's something about meeting. It's not because when I also went to PWI school, so it wasn't like I was awkward around white people or foreign around Nigerians. I was great, but there's just something about meeting your own kind of people that you can talk and relate on multiple levels about different things, and you can interact in so many different ways. Because I know when I moved here too, mine. It was Afro Vibes that
Wait, Afro Vibes brought you here?
Well, so the thing is, when I got a job here, I was staying with a colleague in West Bend.
Okay.
So that was like November 2019, late 2019. So I would drive down to, downtown East Side for the Afro Vibes and everything. So I already knew some people, knew some faces, but, I would go back up there. So it was when I moved here that, and I started, okay, who is around here and blah, blah, blah. Then I found a church online.
Interesting.
So when I went to the church and I started meeting, Charles was the first person I met. And I was like, okay, and then went to the party. I think it was a graduation party too. And then met more people. And then So church people, when you go to somewhere new, find a Nigerian church.
That actually is my plan too, because I'm moving to Philly soon. And so I'm literally just going to
find the nearest redeem.
Find the nearest redeem.
Find the nearest redeem, because there's going to be a redeem there for sure.
Yeah.
Find the nearest redeem, make friends, and enjoy the rest of your stay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the plan.
That's good. That's nice. So then, when did you decide to start going to the church then?
So
because you said you met Oyin, she invited you. It took you like 7 months.
Yeah, and even then I didn't start going regularly until the next year, like 2021. So the first day I went,
was it COVID?
it was kind of the end of COVID.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the end. COVID was still very much there.
Yeah.
But it was like people were less afraid of it. We kind of knew a little bit more about it, and I'd been vaccinated at that point. So I went, and it was. So I used to just come. I sit in the back. I wait for the service to finish, and I run away. Like, I don't wait to talk to anybody because I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
Even I would see Oyin from afar, but like even then, I would just wave to her, say hi to her, and then I would just leave. I didn't really know or talk to anyone else. And then I think it was actually Charles who one day, I think my third or fourth time there, which was not even like back to back, it was like spaced over months. Yeah. He was like, "Why are you always running after service?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "No, you just like you don't talk to anyone. You don't wait for people to be done. The prayers and stuff. You just
bounce.
Amen, gone." And that's really what I was doing because like I don't know people and I was feeling uncomfortable. And at that point, I was thinking I probably won't stay at this church because, so like I'm Catholic, like I grew up Catholic and whatnot. The reason I go to a Pentecostal church now is because of the worship. Like Catholic worship is but I prefer the way that the Pentecostals and the Protestants worship.
Yeah.
But there are strong doctrines I disagree with, so I still would not call myself Pentecostal.
Mm-hmm.
So that for me was like the preaching was like, okay, it was cool. I had some things I disagreed with, but I was like, the music's nice, so maybe. But it just wasn't enough for me.
Yeah.
And I think what changed was the community aspect. Now I have worship and community.
Yeah.
And for me, that was enough. Like I can still listen to whatever preacher I want to on a podcast or like listen to mass online.
Yeah.
Right. But now I get to worship with others and have community with others.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah, I guess technically it was because it was after I started talking to Charles, then suddenly I met everyone else, and then I was like, oh, I actually kind of want to join the choir because I just like to sing, and so I was like.
So did you used to sing in like a church or somewhere public before?
Not officially. I mean, my mom is a big like singing person.
Yeah.
Like when we have family prayers, she'd make us all sing. We had to have our parts.
I mean, I used to sing at home too.
Right,
I didn't join the
that
choir,
was
though.
really it. I mean, when you have my church used to have these like Christmas specials where we'd have families that would sing, right?
Oh.
And our family would go and sing, but that was it. I really wasn't in.
So maybe your sister could potentially join the choir too.
We've tried, but she has adamantly refused. she's in the children's church, and that's where she likes to be.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, I've intermittently sang like in Christian settings, but this is probably the most I've sang.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah, so I still have some. The church is not perfect, but it gave me what I needed when I needed it. So
that's good. Well, I like that for you because, I was watching, what show was it? As soon as I was watching it, and it was this guy. His intention was to go defraud this church of money, right? So then when he walked in there, he walked in during the administration and everything, and I guess the
beef?
Songs. Yeah, it's
don't
beef.
spoil it. I'm gonna watch it.
You called it out.
No, but like I saw this little clip somewhere, and so just
you called it out. I would have said the whole thing. I would have been fine. You're like, is this beef?
Stop now. No.
Well, anyway,
No, that's it. I'm gonna watch the show. So.
But the whole point of me trying to say that is that church and the experience with church, it meets people at different times in different ways. So me personally, I've never been the whole Holy Ghost and but I can tell you that I have come to a point of just like almost an out of body experience of just, this is dope. Like this is a great experience that I'm having right now, And I
get that with worship, which is why music was important to me in the church I went to.
Yeah.
But it's that whole, like, I don't want to be shading anyone's beliefs.
Well, we shared here, right? You know, right?
Hopefully this podcast, anyways, just give me a different name when you publish.
Oh.
But, it's the performative nature of religion for me. I think religion and faith are separate, and a lot of, from my perspective as someone who...
I totally agree with that.
Like, I mean, I'm Catholic, but my mom also likes the Pentecostal church. So I've gone to Pentecostal churches before.
Yeah.
And when I went to college, I stopped going of my own volition. But like the speaking in tongues, the prophecies that sometimes seem a little suspect, those are the things that, for me, I never was able to fully get into.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because spiritual things are not things you can describe and explain with physical things, right?
Right, but
so that there's argument one that makes like you can shut down any argument you just ask it like, well, it's spiritual, you can't really use anything physical to explain it. Like, yeah, well, that's not true.
I think all truth is God's truth, and people really want to push the narrative that, you know, nature and faith are different, but I think they're like they work in collaboration with each other.
Yeah.
Like nature supports the presence of God. Okay, this is definitely the effects of me going to a Christian college. But yeah, it really is. They are two sides of the same truth. Like God did not come out here to trick us with nature and evolution and all of that just to actually have a secret second agenda. You know, he gave us these brains and these, you know, inquisitive minds for a reason, to get closer to him and his knowledge.
See,
wow, what a rabbit hole we've gone down.
No. That's great, because one of the things that I've always thought of faith and belief, because it's very subjective. Mm-hmm. Depending on what part of the world you're in, how you grew up, the people you surround yourself with, you will have different interpretation, different meanings, different thoughts on basically the same topic and the same subject. That's why there's like all around the world, there's been different names and representation of world. There's God being all over the world for thousands and thousands of years, right? So, and then you can talk about the Christian crusade time that they were like shoving Jesus Christ down everyone's throats,
and
like
the
you have to,
colonialism and all the bitterness tied
and
up
then
with
you can talk about when the Muslims had there too, that they were trying to, you know, a lot of Europe and all that. So it's like, for me, it's always been very subjective, and it's a difficult conversation to have. It
is, especially with, like, no offense, but with a lot of Nigerian Christians.
Oh,
because I think that especially the older generation, they believe that even listening, even asking is a sin. Yeah. You know, even being curious.
It's wild to me. It's like, no, I don't.
If I expose some of the thoughts that I have and believe, they would chase me off the stage.
Yeah.
If I tried to sing.
Because I'm like, the fact that I question, like, I don't think God will be opposed to you questioning, asking questions.
So. Because usually when you question it and you really seek it, once you get an answer, you're more convicted. You're more convinced because you didn't just, like, it wasn't just spoon-fed to you, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm, like, firm in what I believe now, because in college, I was just like, okay, so they say all these things, you know, the Bible and whatnot, and it's a little sus over there. There's some discrepancies. Yeah. But I see that evolution is a thing, because we can see microevolution, you know, macroevolution, of course not. But like little tiny, we can see that. So I'm like, this I see, this I don't see. Doesn't make any sense.
Especially when you throw in science and history.
Like, I'm going to leave the faith and stick with what I can see and know.
If you throw in science and history into most religions, things begin to break down very quickly. Not really. I think that... into most doctrines.
Yes. Well, if you're like so rigid in what you believe, like you think the Bible is literal word of God, word for word, then your worldview will shatter if you throw in science and history. Yeah. But if you think of the Bible as just stories that were written by men to portray a message of faith, you know, then your worldview is fine, because science and history can support you.
True.
But yeah, even with the other religions, like I remember when I was in the 4th grade, my two best friends were these Indian twins, and they're Hindu Buddhist. Yeah. And I remember once I asked them, like, why do you guys have so many gods? And she was like, oh no, it's the same God, just different faces. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if... Is
it though?
What if it's all the same? I mean, let me not go there.
Don't they have different... I'm not... But aren't they different gods? Like this one for money, this one for protection,
no,
this one for...
No, she's saying it's different facets of the same being.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the Trinity if you think about it.
Yeah, the same being 3 in 1. Trinity,
but yet we shame the others and call them polytheists.
Because yours have to be number one.
Right.
And I think the reason why it's so complicated because there's been a lot of human influence on religion.
Of course, and how can there not
over
be?
time?
It's humans practicing it.
Yeah, they've been in the same faith. You can see during the time in history where they were doing things that were really terrible.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, so at what point are we going to call this out? Are we going to be like, well, that was crazy? But you'd be like, no, just move on. And it's part of the, it's part of the journey. Just move on.
And I have to throw this word out there because some people will be disappointed if I don't, but it's the patriarchy. It's the patriarchy.
So, yes. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm sure Charles watching this will probably be doing this.
Yeah.
That guy.
My feminist partner.
I need to get Charles on here or something.
You do. He has thoughts.
Yeah, we need to get on there. Patriarchy, that's another subject. So, I know what you're doing. You're intentionally, you don't want me to focus on all the medical achievements and all the doctor stuff. You want me to let's just go. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I've acknowledged that you're a successful young doctor.
Thank you.
You're going to be great in your field and career.
Amen.
You already give us some details. So, yeah, I think I'm fine going to wherever you want to go to. Patriarchy. When? Because, okay, in my mind, when I think about timeline of knowing Nnenna, right? Timeline of knowing Nnenna. I know the time where we met, cool, church stuff, events. And then I know there was this time where I was like, oh. So, have you always been I don't actually, what would you consider yourself in the whole...
The feminist thing? Are you asking me if I'm a feminist?
That's what I'm trying to word the question in the whole women's empowerment journey.
I'm not going to give myself a label because all these labels have connotations. Like the way feminism,
I'm not trying to give you one.
Right. The way feminism is set up now, the popular way, is honestly just to benefit white women. And I don't really ascribe to that version of feminism.
Okay.
But I definitely am not down for the patriarchy. So whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a social justice warrior thing. It's just, I think these are things that should be common sense.
Yeah, I know for sure that you have in that realm, women's rights and patriarchy and all that in society. I know you have very strong opinions that you stick to, that you're unwavering about. It's all, we've had conversation about it, and it's not like you're going crazy about stuff.
I don't even know if they're strong opinions. I think that everyone should just, in the argument we talked about last time, it's just everyone pick your partner, Yeah. If you have this view of what a woman is and what a woman should do, then fine.
Just go for someone who works out,
also
who works
believe
for
that,
you. Yeah.
So I have views of what I think, that a woman should do, could do, whatever, and what I will do and will not do. And those are personal things.
Personal things?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in terms of doctrines, yes, there's definitely systematic oppression against women. What
would you consider your top 5? I don't want to say one, because it's probably more than one.
You really want this podcast to get
top 5?
Dicey.
Yeah, at a point it needs to be, because, it's a Niger conversation, right?
Just make sure I've left before you publish.
No, it's gonna be fun.
Number 1, oppression against women. Is just even the question of abortion laws. Now, I want to clarify.
Okay.
This is neither a pro nor anti-abortion stance.
Okay.
This is me saying, why are you even making a law on women's bodies? You would never think to do that about men.
Okay.
You would never, there is no law that would try to tell a man, you must do this with your body. But it's so normalized for a woman.
Okay.
Can you just visualize me for a moment as you are now as a man? And I'm not calling babies parasites or whatever, but let's just say something was living and growing inside of you.
Okay.
And you didn't want it to live and grow inside of you. If you left it alone, it would continue to grow.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it must stay there. Isn't that just odd?
Yeah.
And then people want to bring faith into it, but there's so many sins that we love to just skirt around.
Oh, yeah.
And we pick our sins.
Oh, Christians now. You pick and choose.
Lying is a sin. Gluttony is a sin, but America is number 4 in obesity in the nation. But yet, when it comes to abortion, y'all want to die on that cross for the Christian rights and the fetus rights. But once that child is born, they do not care. At that point, many people, many scientists, people who actually study this, have told you that at that point, it's just a group of cells. Like when you do this, you've lost cells, you know? And does it have the potential to be a person?
Yeah.
Yes. But at that moment, there's only one person involved. The person you are completely ignoring and trying to force to do whatever you want to do. So just the fact that this is a discussion is the number one evidence of oppression against women.
Okay.
Because it just cannot happen.
Number 2.
Wow, this is...
I mean, it doesn't have to be 5. I'm just saying.
Right.
I just say top 5. Just if it's 2, if it's 1, if it's 3.
It's really just recent ones that come up to me. I mean, like, you know, pregnancy issues, how women lose their jobs if they get married.
Yeah,
how, you know, I'm still asked, even though it's illegal, you know, I'm not going to report them because I'm trying to match, but people will still ask you, you know, like, what are your plans to have kids in residency and stuff like that.
Really?
They ask women that, but they never ask a man that, because if you have a child during residency, even though men also want to stay at home with their kids, you're not physically incapacitated at any point, you know?
That's a crazy question.
Like, as a male surgeon, if your wife is having a child, you can continue to work.
Do you plan to have kids anytime soon?
Yeah. And it's a very sexist question. Because why do you care during an interview?
Yeah, that's a crazy thing to ask.
But it's real, though, because if you're pregnant and a surgeon, there is a point, and honestly, most jobs, whatever job, but there's a point in your pregnancy you can no longer do your job. Yeah,
you have to take a break.
Right. But it's like they're calculating what are they going to lose during that break, not thinking about you as a person.
So that's the American system. It's like at some point, every employee, worker becomes numbers.
Right.
It's like it's plus or minus. That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, the only part where I'm like feminism should be individualistic is the whole thing about who should cook, who should clean, whatever.
See, all those ones, I'm just like, y'all are lazy.
I don't care.
Lazy, dirty, nasty people. If you have to argue about who's going to do the dishes and who's going to clean the house and who's going to do your laundry, who's going to take out the trash, what are you doing?
That one, it's just find your mate. Like,
it's like if you were living by yourself, you'd be doing all that stuff. So it's because now you have an extra person is where it's now a huge argument.
Right. But like, I get it for the people who want it, you know? Because for me, it's like, yes, I am now, I don't know, pumping my own tires or whatever.
Yeah.
If I get married, I don't intend to do that anymore. I don't. I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
So, but that's like, that's what I want, right? So I'm going to find someone who's also
going to do that for you.
Who understands, who's at the same level with me. Like, okay, tires and cars, this is your job now.
And you know, I know there's a time where people used to blame Disney for a lot of things, expectations. Yeah, people say that people wanting Disney princes and Prince Charming and you know, all those things. But I don't think that's the case now.
For me, it wasn't Disney. It's African Magic Evil.
What?
It's definitely a cultural connotation. Yes. I definitely ascribe to the whole, I will own the kitchen, I will cook, I will clean, and you will provide, and you will fix cars and take out trash. I don't know.
Yeah. You don't subscribe, but you subscribe to that. Yeah.
I do. But it's like I'm an individual who is not only okay, but happy to cook for my partner.
Yeah.
But not because someone's going to tell me that I'm supposed to.
That's what I'm saying, because it's like, because a lot of all this red pill and all this argument, it's about that stuff. It's not. It's to me. That's so useless things to be arguing about.
It is, because we're not going to find a system for it. Like, the way I said this now, there's going to be another woman that says, oh no, I'll never cook for a man. And she's right as well. And sometimes it really is just like, who does it better? Like,
a
lot of my brother, my male cousins, my male best friends, like, if I ask them now to cook this one simple thing, it will take them 5 hours. The entire kitchen mess. Everything is dirty. They use every single plate somehow. And that would have taken me 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And the kitchen would have still been clean. Yeah. So because of that, sometimes I just don't want that in my space.
I'm an expert in going to the fridge, taking what is left in the fridge and making a gourmet dish out of it. Yeah, that's the thing. But it's like, okay, if you know you're the guy that grew up in a way that you were fed all your life, even when you were living by yourself, someone was bringing you food, then if you're going to be dating somebody, the person needs to know that that's your life, and you need to tell the person that that's your life, and then the person needs to know if I'm going to be here or not. Like, there's more important things about compatibility. Do you guys have the same future when you think in 10 years? Like, if, for example, you're thinking future and then one person is going that way, the other person is going that way, that's a big problem.
Yeah, I think people are just bad at dating nowadays.
Yeah, it's like
they don't have these hard conversations anymore. It's just like, oh, let's just go to dinners and travel and fun things. But like, no one's really. Yeah,
it's a serious thing like that you're gonna do most of the time, like hanging around the same space. Like, do you enjoy this conversation with this person? Can you just chill in the same space? Can you just go for a drive and you won't, can you enjoy this other person for who they are and what they are to you?
Yeah.
It's like, it stresses. It's pretty annoying to me. It's like, you should just date who you like and who likes you.
And who shares the same values you do.
How many languages do you understand? So doesn't have to be fluent. Doesn't have to be, just do you understand?
And my answer now would have even been different from my answer 5 years ago. But since I moved to the States, I feel like I'm losing them all.
Damn.
But basically, so English, of course. And my Igbo is shameful because my parents refused to teach me. I tried to teach myself. And I remember when I was in college, I told my dad, I was like, I want to learn Igbo. And he got me a tutor in his, to give him credit. So I would say I have maybe a fourth grader's understanding of Igbo. The words and phrases I know that are commonly used, I'm comfortable with them. And then Igbo songs, just because I'm used to singing them often.
Yeah.
But if I met a native speaker, I wouldn't want to talk to them because they will mock my accent and everything. But I can still listen and pick up parts of what they're saying. And then French is probably my second strongest language after English because I've been learning it in school for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And I would go to French summer school, and I even took the official exam.
You took the French one?
Yeah, I did. Damn. I was A2 or something. So I could officially say on job applications that I spoke French as a second language.
Wow.
But this was when I was just graduating high school when I took DELF. So in college, I practiced it a bit more because my roommate was from Haiti. So we spoke French a bit. And then med school is really where I just didn't use it, didn't touch it. So it's plummeting down. But I'm going to pick it back up because I feel like I want to hold on to French.
Yeah.
And then Amharic, that's the language spoken in Ethiopia. That one.
What?
Amharic.
Amharic?
Amharic. AMHARIC. And that one, it's I lived in the country for 8 years, so I picked it up without intending to.
Oh, okay.
I did take a class here or there to learn the alphabet and, language, grammar and stuff like that. But most of it I picked up just from living there for so long.
So that's what? English, French,
Amharic,
Igbo.
And lately I've had, there's Korean because that one is I've just been watching Korean drama since I was 9 years old. And
from 9 years old.
So I picked it up again unknowingly and unintentionally. But now it got to the point where sometimes I'll forget to put the subtitles on and I'm still following and I'm oh wait, what was that? And I realized it was off. Or they'll translate it wrong. Or I'll predict what they're saying next.
And you can understand?
Yes, because I've just been watching it so long. And I had 2 Korean friends when I was in college, and they used to quiz me on things, and I would answer them just from watching Korean dramas.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's immersion. You don't even know you're picking it up. It's just living in a place for so long. I've watched so many Korean dramas.
So you mean, when did I start watching anime?
You should know Japanese by now.
Right.
But it's the subtitles. If you watch things in the original language and not dubbed, because I hate dubbed films, then you pick up...
It's trash.
It's still trash.
Yeah.
Then you start to pick up the language. But
interesting.
And then the recent
Korean,
is Spanish, because I just realized I've been trying to learn it because of medicine. There's so many times where I have a Spanish speaking patient and the interpreter phones are always a hassle. And you can see, I had this one patient. I feel like he's the reason I started to start learning it.
Yeah.
He was so desperate to communicate. And I was just running around, trying to find an
so
interpreting
sad.
phone. We had to use like Google Translate on our phones.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, this is not great. Like there's so many of them. I should at least pick up like a basic understanding of Spanish and like medical terms, to ask them, are you in pain?
Yeah.
Did you eat?
Describe what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I've been trying to.
6.
Yeah. We're not going to count them as languages though. This is just like, it's more like a hobby. I'm not going to say I speak 6 languages. Like that's.
Technically.
It's a goal, but.
Technically.
Like languages are so. Like they're so hard.
And there's Pidgin too, because Pidgin is.
If I say I speak Pidgin, people will stone me.
Oh, so let me know about Pidgin.
Stone me.
Oh, okay.
There are 2 individuals who would drag me. So I'm not going to say that.
Oh, wow.
But I understand it.
Yeah.
That's but I feel like it's common sense.
So, because even yesterday, I started the conversation with my friends, because some of my closest friends here are from the Congo.
Right.
And they're always speaking French and then switching to Lingala and just going back to French and all that stuff.
And when you have those around you, you can keep it. Like when I was in college, I was because my roommate was Haitian, like she would speak with me and I got so good at it again. And then when I lost that French, because no one in the US really speaks French, like it's not a common second language.
Yeah.
So then I lost it in a professional setting, in a casual setting. And with languages you're not familiar with, it's really use it or lose it. I mean, all languages.
True.
It goes so fast once you stop using it.
Yeah, because... Yeah, isn't that just so unfair? Because it's so hard to learn.
It is.
And then
but you're never back to square zero, though.
You still get it.
Like it's easier for me to still pick up French when I start to like take it seriously again.
Yeah, because yesterday my wife was like, "Oh, I should have learned French by now." Like, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's the thing. People don't realize how hard it is to learn a language.
Yeah, because I'm like, when they're around me, they just blah, 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 in French. Like, I'm not going to just pick up, like, oh, yeah. I know when I hear French.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it so many times. I'm like, I know you're speaking French.
Yeah.
Or I can pick up on some, maybe if it's out of a sentence, I'll pick up 2 words.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say I can. But that's impressive.
I think the key is to... First of all, you do need some kind of like education component to it to learn like sentence structures and grammars and stuff. That really helps you a lot. Okay. Then you need immersion.
True.
Because with French, it was easier than like me learning Igbo because there's so many French books, so many French movies. I had French tutors. I went to French school. But with Igbo, if my parents don't talk to me, who will?
Igbo movies.
They even like they.
What did you just say? African Magic
yeah,
Igbo.
but that one is like African Magic Igbo. Most of them are English, right?
Yeah, true.
And my parents too then decided to take me outside of Nigeria. So most of my life, my parents were the only Igbo people I knew.
True.
And they will not accept full blame, which is theirs for me not speaking it well now. It's like who would have taught me? So when my dad got me that tutor in college, I probably made the most progress in my Igbo in that like year and a half than the rest of my 15 years of life. Because you need someone to teach you.
Yeah.
You really just can't. Especially with like, and Igbo is tonal. It's one of the like 6 tonal languages in the world. So I'll just be out there, trying to sing "Give Praise to the King" and singing "Give Praise to the Teeth" because it's the same word, and no one tells me. So that's why I'm scared to speak Igbo because it's so tonal. It's so easy to embarrass
say the wrong thing
yourself.
and you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I remember when I was in college, we had this an Igbo author was coming to speak as a guest speaker at our school. Yeah. And we had like chapel, then we have the guest speakers. So they're like, oh, she's Igbo. Can you like sing a song in your language? No, like in your language during worship to make him feel more comfortable. I was like, oh yeah, singing Igbo, that's nothing but a thing. I've been singing Igbo forever. Yeah. So I sang like some Igbo songs and the guy was just like feeling it. He was so pleased, so happy. Then he came to me, he did the back tap of approval and I did the curtsy. He was like proper Igbo girl, very happy. And then he tried to have a conversation. And I got past the first couple sentences, the hello, how are you? Where are you from? What's your name? I got past all of that. Then he asked me something and I was just like, huh? And he was like, you don't speak Igbo, do you? And I was like, no, sir. Okay. But the point is, I fooled him throughout the singing and the first whatever is because like I was familiar enough with what I know. I know what I know, but I don't know a lot, So the sentences that my parents use often, like I know those ones.
You know those very well.
But there's so many words out there. that's one of the big faux pas, because with my parents, so when we were very little, like when my oldest sister was like 2, she spoke Igbo fluently. And what happened, I think I started like picking it up a little bit, but I was still like less than a year, or what I was like, no, when she was 2 to 3, I was like a year or so. And what happened was we started getting complaints as we got older from our teachers saying that, oh, your children are mixing languages. You know, they'll speak English, then they'll speak French, they'll speak a language you don't understand. That one was the Igbo. And so they're like, it's very confusing. And my parents panicked because they were like, oh, they're not going to learn English well if we keep on immersing.
Isn't that a myth?
Right, it's a myth. But they were so afraid. So they were like, okay, we're not going to speak anything but English in the house. So until I was about 11, my parents spoke only English to us. So what did I learn? English and the language of the country around me, which in the Gambia was like French and Wolof.
Yeah.
So if my parents did not, get scared by that, we would have spoken all 3 fine. But they got so scared, they stopped the Igbo, and we got it from nowhere else. And then when I was 11, I learned the Igbo alphabets. Because my parents woke up one day and they were like, okay, time to learn Igbo. So me, a whole 11-year-old, grown basically, learning Abebe Chiede. Like, that's hard. It was so hard. And to this day, they like, they keep blaming us. Like, if you wanted to, you'd have learned it by now.
You'd have learned. No, that's not how that works.
Because I want to. So I think Igbo is like one of the most beautiful languages. And I'd be trying, but it's hard. Trying to study like medical languages makes it seem like I'm still studying medicine.
So now I'm even curious now that you mentioned that. What got you into the whole medical field?
So, I mean, it started in the very beginning where my mom was pregnant. It was kind of that joke they say where they say, are you having a girl or a boy? And it's like, I'm having a doctor. Yeah, my mom was definitely, one of those. And with my dad being a doctor, I definitely got the, little doc very often when I was growing up. But I liked everything. I liked science, I liked arts. So I feel like I could have done anything. But my parents decided I was going to be the doctor. My sister was supposed to do law and I would do medicine, and they were collecting all of us like infinity stones. You be the engineer, you be the whatever. They were going to get all the professions that Nigerian parents love. I think I thought I wanted to do law a little more than medicine, but my sister was already doing law. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll do medicine, which is such a dumb thing to think about. She didn't do law. She changed her field.
How did you feel when that happened?
By the time that happened, I already started kind of falling in love with medicine and shifting my identity. It wasn't even love. It was more identity. Like, I'd studied medicine for so long, and even now, that I don't know what else I would do.
Interesting.
Like, when you give almost every minute of hour of the second thinking about something for 8 years, and someone is like, what else would you do? You're just like, what else is there?
Wow.
But I think if I went back in time, I honestly could have done anything else.
We went science route.
It wasn't even just like doctor. My mom told me specifically that I was to be a cardiothoracic surgeon.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. And even, I remember, so when I matched and I put it on my Instagram, one of my friends from 4th grade, who I still follow on Instagram, was like, oh my gosh, like, you're doing it. Because when I was in the 4th grade, we had the, what do you want to be essay.
Yeah.
And I wrote that I wanted to be a surgeon. And I loved all surgeons except plastic surgeons because they change people's faces. That obviously is wrong. It's not true. It's not true.
Wait, isn't that true?
No, cosmetic surgeons. Plastic surgery is not just cosmetic surgery. True. It's burns. It's like, all of that. True. But yeah, I wrote cardiothoracic surgeon, and she was like, I can't believe you're having it. And I'm like, I honestly also can't believe. And wow. Because I would say it just to like please my mom.
I think your mom just someone like
yes. And
what?
So we're talking about fellowships, right? Which is what you do after residency to be more specialized. And she's like, what are you thinking of? And I'm like, I don't know, trauma, surgical oncology. And she's like, and I'm like, cardiothoracic. she's still holding on to it. And honestly,
wow,
I just might do it because the heart is my favorite organ. But it's not just about what you like to study. It's like the lifestyle you want to live. And the CT surgeons be working. Like, they just work. Because how can you not? Everything that comes to you is an emergency. Everything is life or death. True. There's no like, lap chole, like an appendix. Chill a bit. Yeah. Everything is just, they're dying now. And I don't know if I will always want to live that way. Now I do. But I don't know if I will always want that,
That's interesting. The way that what you just said is crazy.
Yeah, she
Like she called it to the very specification.
Hardcore.
Like mine just went science, engineer. Engineer is pretty broad.
Yeah,
but mine was like your dad's an engineer.
All of you guys, I feel like half the friends I have in Milwaukee are engineers. I don't even know which engineer is which. Like, I know some of you are software engineers. They're the mechanical engineers. Someone is aerospace engineer. Yeah. I don't know. Just
engineering.
Yeah,
but it's fun though. And even to date, I still do my artistic stuff, creative. Even in my engineering, for real, I can work somewhere or be somewhere where I can design and create.
I think that's. I
have to design.
Like it's really rare and a huge gift to be able to also make money doing something you love and think is cool.
Yeah.
Which is why, as much as medical school has drained the life out of me, I feel extremely blessed because I'm going to be able to make a lot of money. We said it at the
match party. We're looking forward to chopping your money.
Like it's like I get to make money doing something I not only enjoy but I find fulfilling.
True.
Like I feel like it's not just a job, which sometimes sucks because you're not allowed to just be like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm not in the mood, because these are people's lives you're doing with.
It's a huge responsibility,
right?
For
but
sure.
It's a huge privilege. Like I feel like if we were in a communal society where nobody got paid, people just did whatever, I would still be happy doing surgery. Would I give them 8 years of my life schooling? No, I would not. But if I could still do surgery, I would. Would I give them that much money for tuition? No, I would not. But I feel like I'd still choose it.
That's actually good. That's great.
Maybe I'm convincing myself so I don't feel the trauma. I don't know.
Maybe you're still going to call your mom after this. Like, Mom!
No. My mom was a prayer warrior. I feel like from the moment I was born...
Whose mom isn't?
Over my head, she was whispering cardiothoracic surgery.
Is it praying warrior? Is that what you want to call it?
Wow.
No, I'm just saying, yo, the thing my mom like send me your photo. I need to pray on this photo, and I'm like, yo.
And the spirit snitched to her because even when I was in college, there was
times where snitched.
I'll get ready at night and I'm gonna go to one of those night parties they have in a barn. The PWI classic. Yeah. And my mom, who never calls me at this time, suddenly calls me. She's like, you shouldn't go out tonight. If you're going anywhere, don't go out tonight. And I'm like, dressed?
How do you know?
I'm like, what do you mean? Why would I go anywhere, Mom? It's like 9 p.m. She's like, no, anywhere you're going tonight, just don't go. Just stay home. And I want so badly to ignore her. But the paranoia, I'm like, if the spirits told you I was going somewhere, let me just stay home.
Let me just chill.
Let me just stay home.
That's I'm curious to meet your mom now.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's my dad who pushed me to medicine.
Yeah, I was also thinking that.
My dad always told me, do whatever you want.
You've matched now. You're going to where? Ohio?
I'm going to Jefferson, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Are you looking forward to this, right? Or
I
are you
am.
not? Are you?
I'm excited. I'm also scared because everyone wants to scare you when it comes to surgery. Like, especially as a woman, people want to tell you things you never asked about, like, oh, women surgeons never get married. Oh, surgery is going to
about
consume
life.
Your whole life. Your children will be underweight. Literally, someone told me that, and there's apparently data for
Who are these people?
Other doctors, unfortunately.
Damn.
And a lot of men. There's a reason that surgery doesn't have a lot of women because of this. But I'm excited. This is everything I prayed for. And I know it's not going to be easy. Like, y'all probably will not hear from me from the next 5 years. But
just give us once you're moving, we'll get your info. We'll pull up sometime.
Right.
Be like, oh, you're in surgery. Come out. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm in this point in my life where I'm just happy for the people around me. Happy for successes, failures, whatever it is. To me, it's just all lessons.
Yeah.
And then I'm just excited that everybody, or most people I know, are just trying to get it.
Yeah.
Whatever but that it is.
Say, I'm still gonna get therapy because I sure need it. Need it, and I feel like that needs to be talked about more. Like the whole trauma thing.
Trauma. You
don't need to.
Trauma is one of those words that I think is being misused a lot.
It is, but but sometimes it's being used correctly.
Because I can say, yes, I have some experiences and memories from my childhood and my experiences in and outside of my family that have toughened me for good or for bad. Whether or not that has traumatized me, I can't tell you for sure. Right, for example, right, growing up in the part of Lagos I grew up in, when I was maybe 11, 12, there was this OPC, this vigilante group basically, that they used to catch and kill armed robbers. And they would burn them. Like I was seeing them stacked up on top of each other at that age. I wouldn't say I was traumatized by that, but I remember it.
That means you're just not defining maybe you're not defining trauma very well.
But it doesn't affect me. Like, I remember the memory. I'm like, oh, I've seen that before.
You won't even know it affects you. You know, the first person that made me realize that I may have trauma from like upbringing.
So, but if it doesn't affect you, then why is it trauma?
No, it affects you. You just don't know that it is what's affecting you. Like,
so
I never would have connected me crying in the operating room to my mother beating me if somebody else hadn't made that connection for me. Somebody more knowledgeable. I would just think, oh, it's because she's shouting at me. Why would I cry? But it's actually not a normal response to cry when someone's shouting at you.
Who's defining this normal response?
Psychiatrists.
What do they know?
A lot.
No. Because if you say you can shout at somebody and they could cry.
Right, but it's like, if you're crying because someone shouted at you, it means that
someone shouted at me and I'm crying.
That's actually not normal.
Why is that not normal though? If you shout at the baby's gonna cry.
Because I'm not okay. Why am I not crying when I see somebody die in front of me? But I'm crying. It's not even like they're shouting at me like, "Oh my God, you just messed up this huge thing. You're a failure." She's just saying, "Oh, can you do this a little better?" And I'm feeling stressed. That's not normal. Anyway, for me, it was my chemistry teacher.
Yeah.
He was a white man that happened to grow up in Nigeria for a couple of years because his parents were missionaries, and he was talking about what he went through with like being beat up in school and things like that by the teachers, discipline. And he called it traumatizing. And I was just like, are you kidding me? That is what was traumatizing to you? And it was only years later that I thought about it. I was like, we're all being abused.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say
we normalize it.
It's been normalized for sure. It's part of the growing up for sure. There's negative factors to it for sure. There's effects in how we are today as adults for sure. But I don't know if that's all it is. I can tell you that me being born and brought up that way in Nigeria has given me a lot of positive things.
Same. I agree. My parents' strict upbringing gave me a lot of positive things.
Yeah.
And so it's up to me to identify the negative ones and try to fix it. I'm not saying I blame them for this now.
What if the backhand slap was the positive?
No, all I'm saying is I'm a person who does not want to take criticism so seriously. So what am I going to do? Identify why I take it so seriously and work backwards from there so that the next time in the future, the next 5 years, when someone tells me I did something wrong, I'll just be like, okay, and do better. Instead of, thinking that my whole self-worth has crumbled and whatever. Like, I just want to take criticism like a normal person. That's my goal. And to get there, I have to go deeper and understand why I can't take it now.
Like, when did that start?
Right. And that's the thing that most Nigerian adults don't do. They don't think back to why they act this way. Like, men with anger issues and, people who are told, the whole narrative of men are told we can't cry. Y'all too, that's another...
Oh, no. Oh, I actually have one that the crying one for me is actually, as far back as I remember, I wasn't a crying child.
Yeah, so you need to go look into that.
No. As far back as like primary school, I wasn't a child that cried.
And look into it medically, if not psychologically, because...
No. I can bring myself to tears if I'm acting.
Then I'm going to go back to psychologically.
No. I'm not even joking, right? So like in drama classes and everything, or I could pretend or being artistic and all, I could tear. So I don't have a thing wrong.
Don't cry for emotion.
But I hardly cry for like, if I've been punished or stuff, I hardly cried for anything.
That's different. Everyone will cry for only what affects them deeply.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of things that I don't cry for that people think that I should cry for. But the things that people think I shouldn't cry for is the one
even mine, because I remember having this conversation. It was in college. I was like, I haven't cried in a long time.
Yeah, And also, in my defense,
Yeah.
this is just a very, like, I'm not the only one crying. I feel like everybody I know has cried on their surgery rotation because it's a very hostile environment sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just don't like to cry in front of people. So I just want to fix it.
Huh.
And like, I feel like when you cry, it takes a little bit away from your legitimacy. Like, I'm trying to present myself as, and it's already hard enough being a woman and being someone who looks young to be taken seriously, you know, as like a doctor. People will always want to assume you're the nurse or whatever and stuff. So it's already hard enough. Then add crying on top of it. They'll never take me seriously. So my goal is to never cry in a professional setting.
I have a master class on not crying. I will send you the link. $49.99. Yeah. But that's tough though. I get what you're saying. That's tough.
It's the only problem is, especially even for patients, when people say doctor, for a lot of like Americans, especially like Americans in this area, what immediately the picture comes to the mind is like an old white man. So being the complete opposite of that, it's just like very hard for them.
I don't know if I want this doctor.
Yeah. No, it's not even that they are consciously saying they don't want you. They just find it hard to accept what you're saying. Like when I tell you now, like, oh, you shouldn't do this, whatever. You be like, does she know?
Second opinion.
I could have this old white man tell you the same thing, and you be like, okay, right. And that's the only thing. It's creating the aura of authority, which unfortunately we have to do.
Yeah.
Like my mentor, she's a very soft-spoken, like, you know, woman. And she's a boss in the trauma bay. Like she just commands authority very like silently in her own way. But she has to build that up. Because now where she is, that when she starts talking in her small voice, people actually shut up to listen to her. I'm sure that there were times where she was like...
Even she was starting and people would just ignore her.
Right. So it's like you have to build that reputation early
that's a struggle,
to be taken seriously.
True. And almost as if you have to be... At the back of your mind, you'd be like, oh, I can't make any mistakes. I can afford to cause any doubt.
Then they will say it's because you're that. And I don't want to... It's not even about me. Like, I just don't want another black woman coming into, like, you know, my field or my program, and then they'll be like, oh, remember the last one? She was this and this, so this one probably this way too.
That's so heavy, though. But do you want to put that responsibility on yourself, though?
It's already there. Ignoring it won't make it go away. Like, as of right now, there's maybe a handful of black girls in my program. We're 200 students, only a handful of black girls. And, like, most of us already get confused for each other. Like, they'll see me in the hospital and be like, oh, yeah, weren't you the one that wanted to do ENT? And I'm like, no, that's my other friend. It's like, oh, wow. And then someone who I don't know will come to me and be like, hey, like, you know, it's been so long, blah, blah, and, like, talk to me. And I'm like, I've never met you in my life.
Nah, that's crazy. I would have mistaken you for one another.
We wear masks. We wear masks the whole time. So all they see is the skin complexion.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not even the reason. Before we wore masks, it was an issue. But that's because crazy. We're getting confused, I'm like, I don't want to be embarrassing myself here because that's also going to affect
because someone does something, they think it's you, and then they're like,
they
might not even confront you about it. They just have that assumption in their mind.
Because they'll never confront you.
Gee.
But
it's not easy.
I'm not worried about those ones now. Those ones are future problems. Now I'm just like, let me just get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do great. I'm sure you're going to be great. I'm sure you will flourish wherever you find yourself.
Amen.
And yeah, we're just here for you. MKE, your folks
Y'all
here.
need to give me money as I'm leading. I need a send-off party. I need a med grad.
This is the right place to saying that. Yeah, that's good.
I would like a GoFundMe, whatever it is.
Amazon wish list.
Should create one.
Create one and to share the link.
I'm just going to send it to you guys only. The Odogus in the church.
Say that again?
Yeah.
I know, I didn't get the first part.
I will send the wish list to just y'all in the church.
Okay. That's
cool. In fact, I've selected 5 of you in my head that will just fund the whole wish list.
You keep saying 5 of you, like in me involved?
Yeah, you included. In fact, I'll give you a personal wish list. Don't worry.
Yeah, but do that though. Before, I used to be like, I can't ask people for stuff. But now, you are making the wish list. I don't care. No. Because the thing is this, right? The wish list is you're going to give people that care about you anyway. Or that you at least think care about you. And that's it.
Yeah. I'm actually sad. I'm a little sad to be leaving, though.
Yeah.
I think as the excitement of matching wore off,
Yeah.
the reality of leaving my current support system hit me. And it's a little sad.
Yeah, because then you have to almost start the whole social thing again.
Yeah, with less time.
Yeah.
But all things happen for a reason.
True. We could have matched somewhere in Milwaukee, though.
Milwaukee only has 2 medical programs.
Damn.
And I didn't want to go to medicine. And I actually liked my home program a lot. But it's that whole thing of just wanting to be trained somewhere different. So I could see how somewhere else does it.
Yeah, that's good.
After residency, I may decide to come back and work for MCW. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, Nnenna, thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on here. Wish you all the best in the future. That's a Niger conversation.